This is why I love Ohio. What's up, riders? Old Man Ronin here. Welcome back to the channel. Guess what? We're back on the bike. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since I had that laser surgery in my eye. And, well, I decided, you know, we'll do it the right way. We're going to take you on some gravel and dirt roads here in east central Ohio. Obviously, it is winter time. We had a bunch of snow the other day, 4 inches of snow the other day. But it was during my lockdown that my doctor ordered. He didn't want to have any vibration, and you know, gravel roads and long stroke engines equate vibration. But we're pretty much healed up, and so I thought, what better way to do a test, since I go to the doctor on Monday, this is on a Saturday, that we'd take you on a dirt road and show you what the old Himalayan can do here. It's you know, wintertime riding. I think it started this morning. It's like 32 degrees, something at that rate. But one thing you have to be aware in the wintertime, like I mentioned before, in wintertime riding and things, is your tires are not going to warm up and have the adhesion that they did in the springtime or the summertime or even the early fall. Nice little vibration there. That'll do a test on my eye. But what I was getting at is, especially on gravel roads and dirt roads, you're not going to have the traction that you would in the warmer months. So you really need to pay attention to what the road surfaces are doing, and really take care of yourself, because you're not going to get the grip. I did air down a little bit when I got on this road, and that way I'd have a little bit more adhesion, and then of course I'll take it home that way too, and then air it back up when I get back to the shop. But you know, riding these dirt roads like this is what most of the Trans-America Trail, which is why I bought this bike to begin with, is going to be like. It's you know, rough roads, high gravel, you'd occasionally meet a car like we're going to meet right here. And of course now we're really cold. It was like 32 degrees, 28 to 32 degrees this morning, and you can see some of the snow still out there on the road. So it's a good test for it, and it is a lot of fun to ride these roads. Obviously more fun in the summer. But this is a prime example of what you can expect to have late fall. I guess we're still in late fall and early winter. We don't really get winter here until the 21st, right? Around that date, winter solstice. But it's still a great place to ride. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great scenery, and a lot of good vibration. You can stand up and try to avoid all those you know, washboard style roads that we have right here, which we do have. This is what it is. But yeah, it's these are great little roads here. They're only about 5-6 miles from my house. I mean, I'm out in the country. I'm a bona fide hillbilly, and I should have probably, if I was going to do a Himalayan only channel, I think I would have called it Hillbilly on a Himalayan. What do you think of that name? Yeah, I didn't like it either. Well, I mentioned earlier how cold it was. Like I said, between 28 and 30 degrees. I'll put the Celsius up in the corner there for you guys that are living in that subtropical life in India and down in Australia. It's just it's a cooler day, obviously, but you know, we ride here in this kind of weather, and this road here is probably 15 miles long. And again, it's a perfect opportunity to do some off-road gravel. I wouldn't even call this gravel anymore, because it's kind of scraped off. It's just mud right now, or hard-packed dirt, and it's bumpy. But the washboard, you know, they plowed the roads earlier this week when we had the snow, and so that really does a job on the road surfaces. But it creates a lot of loose gravel in some places, and no gravel in others. It's definitely one of those cases. They don't salt these roads here. They just scrape them off and then re-add more gravel in the spring. But you can kind of get an idea. The Himalayan, you know, we're running right now, it's kind of slow. I'm doing only about 30 miles an hour. I could go a little faster, but like I said, I've lost a lot of adhesion with this really fresh gravel that hasn't been packed down since the snowplows went over it. And that's something that you know, Yankee riders have to deal with if you go off-road at all the time, or I should say not off-road, when you go off the highway road all the time. And I can, you know, I can feel the bike shimmying underneath me, but that's just normal no matter what kind of motorcycle you have, whether it's a dirt bike or whatever. That gravel, it wants to move. I'm going to move it with my butt right there, but it wants to move the motorcycle, and you got to let the bike go where it wants to go. I mean, you know, it's the whole idea of centrifugal force and the gyroscopic effect. Easy in the corners. Gyroscopic effect wants the motorcycle to stand up straight. It doesn't want to fall over. It wants to keep moving forward. So in gravel, I mean, it's going to jump that front end a little bit around, and even the back end. But if you just maintain its direction and let it do its little wobble, you should have no problem. I mean, that's one of the keys in gravel and sand anyways. It's going to want to go where it wants to go. You just have to convince it softly by going where you want it to go. Don't get over. A lot of people have trouble on the gravel and the dirt and the sand by oversteering, and it's one of the things I realized. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to race crash and burn. They called it hair scrambles back then, but it's similar to crash and burn right now. I never did motocross. I wasn't into the whoop-de-woos and stuff of that nature. I like to do off-road stuff because, I mean, I've always been in the country, and that was more like me riding on the farm at home. You know, you just get out and you just ride. But the gravel roads, like I say, and the hair scramble, what I got experience, taught me a lot about off-road riding. And then, of course, I got away from it for a long time. You know, riding Harleys since I actually turned 16 almost exclusively. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mentioned several times, I've had Triumphs and Nortons and Suzukis and Hondas and Yamahas, things of that nature. But I've always had Harleys in the mix there. And if you guys have been paying attention to my channel, you know that I don't buy new bikes at all. I think I've only got 2 in my entire lifetime. And I buy used bikes because, number one, I've never been the type of person that wants to throw out a bunch of money right up front. I'd rather have some bikes that I can work on and really make them my own. So here's a lot of ice on the road yet too. So we're coming up to Purity. This is the end of this particular road, and we will find you on another one. Yeah, this is just a connection to that other road we were just on, and again, more gravel, more washboard, more fun. Yeah, I'll tell you what, folks, this bike is doing everything that I ask it to do. You know, I've been on roads like this with my Harley, particularly my Sportsters and stuff like that, where you know, that especially back in the old days when I put knobbies on my Sportsters and ran it like a scrambler. Actually, I ran it more like a dirt bike, but ran it like a scrambler. And you know, but it's nothing compared to what this is. I mean, I tell you, one of the main reasons that I did not want to do, I'm going to take a picture here. Hang on a minute, and then we'll get back to my thought. Let's see. I like this. Where was I? Yeah, that'll be the thumbnail. When this bike became available, I jumped on it. I mean, like I said, this is not a brand new bike. This is a 2018. A lot of people think this is a brand new BS6 2021 or 2020. No, I don't have any ties with Royal Enfield. I mentioned this in several of the videos. I'm just a guy who bought a used bike and have really been impressed with it. Now, it had no miles on it, and it's still under warranty, but besides that fact, it is basically a used bike. I don't buy new bikes. I can't afford them. They're even though this one is only like $5 grand out the door, it still didn't fit my the amount of money I wanted to spend or could afford to spend. So I found one. It took me a long time. Like I said, I was looking at Sportsters to do it. I was looking at KLRs. I was looking at the 500 Hondas and stuff of that nature to take it on the Trans-America Trail. I looked at a lot of different options, and what everything came back to was, you know, Itchy Boots and Kamikaze. Those guys running long miles in the kind of roads that I'm going to be riding them on, and no issues. So when this came available at that right price, man, I jumped like a frog out of hot water. I mean, it was quick. I decided to get it, and now we're in the process, and it's probably the best motorcycle decision I have ever made, and I mean that with all my sincerity, with all my heart, with all my sincerity. I'll figure out a way to put that in there. And I mean that with all sincerity. This has been the best motorcycle investment I've made, because not only is going to serve my purpose on the Trans-America Trail, which I really want to do before I get too old, but it also is fun. I mean, that's the key. A motorcycle should make you smile. And, you know, there's two things that I like to say. If you don't look back at your motorcycle when you park it and go into a restaurant, a store, or a bar, then you got the wrong motorcycle. And if you're not smiling the entire time you're riding the bike, if you're riding angry, you got the wrong motorcycle. This bike, I look back and see its rustic look. I mean, it's kind of old and grody like me, and I love that look. I love that more vintage style. Even though adventure bikes really aren't vintage, this one has the oldest style looking, and there's no plastic on it to amount to anything. I mean, there is, you know, the fenders are plastic and things of that nature, but as far as all this fancy goo gob on the front of the bike that holds the headlight and things like that, nah, you ain't got any of that stuff on there. This is just and I mean, it looks like it's built for what this is right here. You know, gravel roads, dirt roads, back roads, deer trails, things of that nature. It really is built for that kind of riding. And like I said, here on these gravel roads in East Central Ohio, which we have a tremendous number of. I had somebody ask me earlier, said, do you have any gravel roads your way? Well, I did in one of the first videos I made, Can She Take It? And I encourage you to watch it. I'll put the link in the bottom. I encourage you to take a look at it. You'll see that I've done gravel and some off-road stuff as well too on some deer trails. And you know, that's kind of where I've got my first taste of the bike, to see how she was going to run. But as far as today, we're only doing, well, not only doing, we're only filming gravel. And we literally just came to the end of this part of the gravel. So we'll talk to you in a minute. And I thought I'd film just a little bit on a regular old paved back road to show you this section of road up here. This is just one of my favorite places in my area, how pretty it is down here, especially in the fall. But right now it's even got some beauty with these, you got the creek on your left hand side or your right, depends on where you're going, and these high rock wall. I mean, it's just beautiful here. This is why I love Ohio. Amazing, isn't it? And you know what? You can find stuff like this on a Himalayan. So all you guys, I had a lot of people say, that's not enough motor for me, that's not enough motor for me. Well, that's great. I mean, you know, everybody has their own likes and desires. I'm not going to pick on what you like. It just is what it is. But you know what? To me, I have a motorcycle now that I can ride on these back roads and see some of this beautiful scenery that I was only able to do with my Jeep for years and years and years. I mean, that's, you know, this opens an entire different world of motorcycle adventure. And we're back to gravel. How's that sound? You know, somebody was telling me earlier in one of the comments that, oh, that road's closed. Let's go see why the road is closed. Maybe they're doing some work or whatever. Let's go see. But somebody was talking earlier about, you know, about, oh, my engine won't start and it won't stay running on my Himalayan. What's wrong with it? Well, first thing I said, you know, make sure you take it to your Royal Enfield dealer first, or any dealer or any bike shop, and make sure there's nothing wrong in the settings or something of that nature, because you never know. Ooh, this is a rough road. Wow. Oh, and we're spinning. It's ice. There you go. A little bit of ice on the old off-road stuff as well too. That way you can get a good feel for it. But what I meant by that is, you know, these long stroke engines, no matter if it's a Harley or the single stroke Himalayan here, they have a I wonder why they closed that road. It looks like it's over here. But they literally have a I mean, it's a single long stroke, and they're not going to heat up as quick as other motorcycles. I mean, I've come from the world of Harley Davidson, so I know I have to let my bikes warm up before I ever start riding down the road. I mean, I like to tell people, even in the summertime, let that thing run and let the oil get all through it for at least 4 or 5 minutes. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't just get on it and start. Now, these water-cooled engines and these smaller engines and stuff that have the EFI, those little engines are just cranking like crazy. They're running, I mean, the red line on this is around 65 to 7,000 RPM. The red line on some of those bikes are 12,000 RPM. So just at a simple idle, those things are just getting it. Think of it as a man versus a mouse. And I don't mean that with disrespect, but the mouse's heart is just going brrrr, like crazy, whereas a person's heart is boom, 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 and that is the big difference. And that little spends a lot of energy and generates a lot of heat, so they're ready to go a lot quicker than these long stroke engines. The downside of the long stroke engine is that it's not going to have the high top end speed that the little guys are going to have. In other words, that little mouse is going to scurry away from you where you're running like crazy, breathing like crazy. It's just not, it's the nature of the beast. And that is basically the best thing I can say. They're not built for that purpose. And the long stroke engines are really made for low torque. That's where all the advantages come from, low end torque. Whereas the water-cooled short-stroke engines are built for high revving. And I guess that's the best way to me explain it. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, make sure you give us a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell notification button. That way you know when all the new Old Man Ronin videos are coming out. But above all, I want to thank each and every one of you. By the time this video comes out, we'll have over 2,000 subscribers. We're growing and growing fast. Well, for me, I'm not a cute little girl that gets a lot of views right away. I'm just a goofy old man who loves motorcycles. Until next time, ride safe and keep her on two wheels, baby.